Good morning. I think Rishi, we probably would have served some better breakfast to have a louder good morning. I do it again. Good morning. So I saved you a lot of money. Thank you, Rishi. Thank you, Sapphire Connect, for inviting me to speak. And the topic that I have is that why do CEOs think that HR leaders are their best partners? Uh, I will start with talking about what is the role of a business head or CEO or somebody who leads an organization. There are 4, 5, and there could be more, but something that is coming to my mind, on top of my mind, is first is to maintain the business, what the CEO inherits or managing. So I would say that it is very important to hold on to the business that you have. Second is to ensure that you grow that business, both in top line as well as in profitability. Third is have a vision, and that vision is something that drives the organization in short, mid, or long term. Fourth would be to ensure that the overall impression of an organization, the value of the organization, both in terms of value otherwise in mathematics and other value in terms of the values that we talk about, is well received. And who does the leader do this for? They do it for their employees, they do it for their customers, they do it for their partners, they do it for their associates, they do it for their investors or shareholders, they do it passively for media who would want to talk or write about them. Now, let me ask you a question. That all those people that I spoke about, all those, people, customer, investors, partners, alliance partners, analyst community, everything that I spoke about, it consists of what? People. I would want to understand that what is that which is, well, in a manufacturing organization, if you have visited any large automobile manufacturing organization, you would find that the shop floor is very largely robotized. A lot of robots that they are doing the job. But are they doing it without humans? They are not. So, if a CEO's fundamental daily routine is around the points that I spoke just now, and it boils down to people, then definitely, as nowadays we call Chief People's Officer or Human Resources, comes into the play. And let me also tell you that as a business head, whether we call him a Chief Executive Officer or Managing Director or owner, partner, whatever you want to call it, they come with a specific expertise and knowledge. But to run an organization, you need multiple expertise and multiple level of knowledge. And you don't have that as a business leader. You work with people who have that knowledge. So my favorite line says, if you consider a CEO of an organization as an entrepreneur, and inherently a CEO of an organization should think and behave like an entrepreneur, despite of the fact that, if you have not founded your own organization, you are working like me for a multinational organization, you are an employee, but you have to think like an entrepreneur. And one key success that an entrepreneur needs to have, or entrepreneur needs to have, if you are to try and do it in a little French way, is not to know everything. You can't know everything. You must know who knows it. And you must try and ensure that those who know it, to them you command respect as the head of the business unit. You command. And you do not command by trying to make long statements, trying to make your presence felt. You command with the way you collate some of the points that I spoke about. And as a leader, if our life revolves from morning, let's say 7 o'clock till evening 10 o'clock, around all the actions that we do, which we call business, and it revolves around people, then I can't disagree more, or I can't agree more, that human capital is the most important aspect of any business leader. Why it is important? Because human mind is complex, we must understand. I do not know if you have ever followed any of the documentaries on National Geographic or on Discovery and so on and so forth. And one example I would like to give you is about the great summer migration of elephants in Africa. Yeah, and you follow that. It's a lot of management lesson there. And when you follow that, you know that for years and years, they follow the same route. They exactly know where is the water hole, where they would get water, how many days they need to walk so that the entire herd doesn't get exhausted. And there is no consulting firm that consulting them. Yes, there are no trainings which is being given to those elephants. It's a very interesting document. There's many of them. There is no training session that happens. There is no upskilling that happens per se in a classroom, but yet they do it. You know, the fundamental trait of they being successful is animals inherently follow a pattern which is naturally given to them by God. They do not sway. They are largely digital, 0, 1. They are not analog. If you are engineers, you know analog. They are not. But human beings are not like that. We are inquisitive. We tend to sway. We tend to be adventurous. We tend to try and deflect ourselves from the core issues, if not for a while. That is how we are. And that is when it is important to conduct so many sessions, so to speak, whether it's training, whether it's upskilling, whether it is inclusion, whether it is, well-being. So many things we need to do because we tend to try and sway. We are designed like that. Our minds tend to sway. It is not with the example that I gave you. The other point that I would like to make here is that I personally follow a philosophy of management called MBWA, called management by walking around. And when you do, how many of you heard about MBWA, by the way? She heard because she works with me. Who else? Okay, it's a very effective tool to work. You know, one of the dependency that you have as a business leader is to try and know what is there on the ground, what is happening on the shop floor, or in IT organizations, what is happening in the IT production area. Production area really not really we are manufacturing something that we are supporting a customer, so we call it still production area. So, how much of MBWA you would do as a leader? You would need your HR to ensure that you have a visibility of what is happening on the ground so that you can take informed decisions. Managing people is also a complex set of regulatory affairs, policies, processes, and a lot of other rules and laws that you follow. Unless as a leader you are on the right side of it, I can tell you that it is very difficult to try and run the other part of the business of the people which are your customers and partners. So this is something also is very important for a HR leader to be aware, that is their job, and to keep the business head aware about what is that going on ground as far as regulation is concerned. There is a saying which says that people work hard for money, but people devote their life for a meaning. And the classic example is Mother Teresa. We all work hard for money, but the moment we find a meaning, we try and put money in priority 2 or 3, and we start chasing our meaning. And that meaning, if we do it well, would give us a lot of money. But how do you try and instill? How do you instill meaning among your people? That is where our human resource leaders come into the play. And they ensure that the vision that you hold as a business head, as a CEO, is passed on to the people to understand the meaning that you are trying to draw from your role and the meaning that they would draw from what they are associated with. I don't think as a leader we can disconnect this aspect of a business leader not having an effective HR leader and then thinking about all the points that I spoke about: maintaining status quo, growing business, having a great place to work certification, attracting talent, customer giving you a 9 on 10 or 10 on 10, because it is your people who are working with those people. So when the topic is about people, and when human resource as a part of an organization's unit is about people, it is inseparable. And lastly, not everything is hunky-dory when you lead an organization. Not every time you meet somebody and greet, good morning, how are things, superb, great. There are some difficult conversations. There are certain communications that you as a leader have to make, but you may not have to make it by yourself. I always say that there are 2 things all the CEOs must do. This is my personal opinion. Is you need to have an excellent first line, and your first line needs to have another excellent first line, and so on. At the same time, you must remain as indirect as possible when it comes to indirect in the sense of not giving the message, but giving the message in a way that it is received, it is perceived positively. So it is an integral part of the HR organization to do this difficult conversation. And that makes our life easy. That makes our life lot easy. The other point I have, as I am concluding, I see that 1 minute and 16 seconds to go. As I conclude, the other aspect I have is that we all have been, involved in recruiting people, right? We recruit people, don't we? Do you agree with me? We recruit people. I do not recruit people. I haven't recruited people in last 7-8 years. I always ensure that they join us. And there is a difference between recruiting and making people join. Okay. I must personally follow a few methodology, FEHW methodology, every time that I interview somebody. And I leave this thought with you, that FEHW what is? So F is family, E is education, H is hobbies and interest, and W is work. And this is the order when I interview people, I always do. And one more thing I do. I ensure that I talk about my FEHW few first. Then I start asking about them. In my opinion, it is quite important for today's HR leaders to ensure that people join them rather than they recruiting them. So in all, if it is about people, and if business is about people, and a CEO's job is to ensure that the output, whatever is to be brought in, has to be people, within, outside, then a role of a HR leader is inseparable, critical, and one of the most important role that a CEO looks forward to from the HR organization. I'm done. I'm 30 seconds off. Thank you very much.